Hi, so tonight's class was all about energized Planeos. Now we know what Planeos are, if I can manage to not kick Earn while I'm doing this. They're those things where the leg sweeps around as you pivot. What we mean by energized ones is getting a little bit more oomph into them. Sometimes this is led, sometimes this is the follower's choice. We're going to show a couple of things that are fit into both of those categories really a little bit. Yeah. Now, don't be in the way because there's twiddly stuff going on. Alright? Okay. Right. So the first one we started with was a nice simple into an ocho and then did a little planeo there. So, come back into the centre, we drifted off. There are several ways of leading this around. Personally, I think safety comes first and we don't force the follower down. I've seen some advice that you kind of lead and at this point you kind of push your follower down. No, you want to guide her down. The way I do that is I drop that hand which gives her the suggestion that we're about to go down into this step, and then I go with her to emphasise that. Now followers, as you take that step, you feel the lead down. Remember to keep the free leg straight. So as you are then turned, it stays straight for as long as possible until you're lifted and collected. So actually the movement I'm doing is standard ocho, down, keep down, finish the pivot, and up. Down, finish the pivot, up. Now obviously, as you can see, I'm going down, my free leg follows the same rules, it's got to stay straight. So I pivot her and then come back up again, because it would look terribly weird if I went, yeah, that's not Tango. So don't do that, that's bad. So we want to lead in this sort of spiral down and around. Now, the other thing we were then talking about is this is where the energized bit comes from. If you think about, as you are turned, followers, think about your shoulders going first and then your hips catching up. So you create this spiral, sometimes called the corkscrew. So I won't leave her in that position, but as the shoulders twist, the hips catch up later. And what that looks like in the ocho, the planeo, is twist. And then you've got this nice sort of whip around. Now followers, you can really energize that. You can really whip that around to create much more drama in there. Yeah? So what else could we do with that? What we then looked at was a block, lead down, whip around, block, zonk. You actually contact. So it's followers lower right leg to leaders lower the back of my lower left leg. It's completely unweighted, this leg, and what we would normally do at that point is then lift. She would then step over and come back out. Or I could withdraw the leg completely and then she could come out there, preferably without stepping on a foot like I just did the thing. So what was the other one? Oh yes, we added a little funky exit to that as well with a little follower sacada that was kind of off topic, but it was fun, so we did it anyway. Because that leg is completely unweighted at that point, I can, instead of lifting to create that, I can just lead her kind of down or level into it, and it becomes a little follower sacada. It hasn't got the energy, the upper body energy of some of them, so it's not going to automatically move out of the way, my lower leg I'm talking about. So as I lead her through, I have to remember to get it out of the way, otherwise it's going to feel weird. But it can look kind of funky. Let's do that at a different angle. You've got to be tangled up up there, but you get the idea. So anyway, that was part one. Part two, there were like 4 parts we were going for, but we all got very tired, so we only did 2 parts. I think the same is true of South Norwood, but I'm sure someone will email me if we forget a bit for the video that we did at South Norwood. What we then did, I don't know if you remember, but last week, you can always check the video, you don't have to remember, we did one of these. We were doing burritos, so we did a little step across and a turn, not usually with a dog. It's chest led. And then at the end of that, sorry, I forgot that, I was getting distracted by now. We then did a little step across and a little flick to straighten up. So what I wanted to do this time was then extend that into a bit more of a planeo with a push. So forgetting all the burrito bit, you can look at that from last week, lead her back into there and block. Now as I do this, I lead her backwards, block, and I step across, all kind of at the same time. So my weight goes onto my right foot briefly, then onto my left foot. I'm balanced on both, it's not a jump, it's a balanced step. I then project through the gap created between her lower legs. Then I step onto that, transfer my weight, and sort of corkscrew my own legs into a cross, keeping the chest connection with her. Then we can walk out, little cross just to get back into parallel system and go from there. So to break that down, side step, go into a back ocho, block and step. So I'm stepping kind of just in front of her foot. My weight's all on my left, so I can pick that up and take my time to get that in place. There's no lunge involved. I can just literally just pick the foot up, place it in there, and then I transfer my weight onto there and turn. And as I do, I have to create a bit of dissociation here. So my hips are kind of facing over there, but my chest is facing over there. Followers, keep chest connection there. Don't end up in this sort of ballroom or underarm kind of thing. We're trying to keep connected. And we can walk out, cross, into there. And that was basically it. So after the break, we'll do the demo.